Okay, so for this video, I'm going to talk about installing a manufactured ladder bar cross member. I picked this up at a swap meet that I go to twice a year. I've got to cut this down on both sides. I've got my lasers going, shooting the center line, keep me honest, and you can see I've got a tick mark here in the middle, and let me see what else. Okay, so I'm a complete novice at this. I've never installed, ladder bars on a project before or a cross member, and I've had plenty of time to decide how I want to go ahead and install this. There's a lot of applications that simply install this cross member in between the K-member assembly. Ends up being a much smaller cross member, and you leave these side pockets open, which could help facilitate getting into it if you have to with exhaust or whatever else. Because of the way that I did my frame, I haven't finished welded it yet, but I've boxed the main frame rails, and then I worked these transition pieces here in the corners where the K-member shoots out. I didn't plan on boxing in the K-member. That's why I held it short here on the ends. I want to keep that area open because it could be important to me as far as running exhaust lines. I'm going to try to run them on the inside, toward the inside center line, and then I'll probably have to go at an angle and go up and over my rear axle. But what I wanted to do, because I wasn't adding additional plates on this and boxing it in, I wasn't all that keen about installing this cross member to the K member exclusively. I wanted to get it out to the main rails, and then coupled with, I didn't want to do just a single weld of this cross member to the inside boxing plate. I thought that would be prone, this is just my novice opinion, I thought that could be prone to cracking and stress as the frame moves ever so slightly, that being a rigid point between the two sides, that it could crack or whatever else. So I didn't want to just weld it to the face frame, so I knew I was going to have to build like an additional piece of hardware, maybe a transitional piece that would connect the two together and whatever. So what I've come up with was this is a flange, just a template. I've got to cut it out of some steel, and I'm going to change the dimensions a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit fatter all around, but this flange is going to fit on the end of these collars that I have right here. I just so happen to have some steel that was the right inside dimension to where I've got a good fit here. And what I thought I would do is I'm going to go ahead and cut these ends off, and then I've got to figure out how I'm going to fish that cross member in through the K member. I might end up having to cut one of the bottom ribbon of the K member on one of these circle areas. I might have to just slice it, get it out of my way to help me get this in there. We will see. But so I cut it, and then I put one of these rings on it, and then you've got the flange, and then this will go up and finish off the actual connection to the frame. We kind of look like this right here. And then, of course, you know, I'll be welding the flange will weld to the ring, and the ring will weld to the cross member, and it'll look kind of like that right there, which I think will look good. I think it'll look purposeful, and I think it might do a better job. We're going to cut this pipe down, and we're also going to make these flanges, and then maybe I'm just going to start with making the flanges. So, because I've already got my two rings, and they're going to look just fine. So let's get after it. So here's where I'm at with the brackets. I still got a little bit of wiggle room here that I'm gonna probably need during the fit up, but overall I'm happy with how they turned out. Now I gotta cut the cross member, and then see about how big of a nightmare it's going to be to get that in between those holes. Might have to cut one, but we'll see. A whole bunch of filing went in on these silly flanges. And when I say a whole bunch of filing, I mean like hours of filing. And then I would check it. I would check my margins with a washer that just so happened fit exactly in that hole there, and take it out, and I'd file some more, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And but it looks pretty good. It's gonna look fine once it gets all welded up and painted. It'll look like store-bought. Yeah, so let's cut this dude. Okay, so here's where I'm at. This is the most complete mock-up I've done so far. That's how the bracket looks. Those are my connectors. And then the other side. Well, I've got to figure out how I want to make this look. I need to close this up and bring some material up around. Got to make it look like it's supposed to be there. Right now it looks like hell. So, same thing with there. You see, I'm so lopsided in that hole, it looks like shit. So now what? Looks like shit. Looks like shit. Okay. Inside driver's side, good. Let me get in here. I'll take you inside here and you can see the connector things that I made for the ladder bar cross member. This was very unsightly. You'll notice the ladder bar cross member just fell, you know, kind of willy-nilly into these holes that was already a part of the K-member, and you know, that bothered me. It didn't look purposeful enough, so I knew I was going to have to do something here, and I just didn't know what. Yesterday I had a series of crappy ideas, and this was one of the iterations. I thought I was going to like put this on the outside, and I was going to put a bead in here and do whatever. Anyway, it was just, it looked goofy, and I went to sleep last night thinking about it, and I woke up this morning with a game plan, and it's kind of going off of, there's a channel called Bennett's Customs, and he did some boxing plates in a K-member area for something, I forget what, and he ended up kind of doing something like this right here. So giving credit where credit's due, Bennett's Custom got me thinking about what my plan was, and what I decided was I was just going to clean up the inside with a plate that, and I had to decide whether or not I was going to hold it out or put it in, and I decided that I'm just going to put her in there, and this is what it looked like when I was figuring things out. I can't do anything really with regards to the spacing of these holes right here. It just kind of is what it is, but I thought this was going to work out for me, and so I went ahead and made a couple of pieces out of 18 gauge steel, and here they are. Bam. I did a little bit of trial fit with these right here, and I got to get this out of my way first, of course, but they slip right in there, kind of a friction fit right now, and I think I'm just gonna weld it out, and it'll end up closing off this area right here, and it'll be reinforcing it as well. Also got to weld this chunk back in that I had to cut out, you know, to get the bar slipped up in there in position, so I've got to weld that up first, and I also need to do some basic surface prep on some of my fab here that I've done, because it's not going to come out again. It's eventually going to get welded out. I'm going to tack it up after I do all that. So what I've got going on right now is that I'm about ready to take this all apart. I'm going to drop the cross member out of here. And if I've got to do any last minute massaging of my fittings that I've made, then I'll do that, and then put it all back together, and then that's going to require me to pull measurements back to make sure it's perpendicular to my center lines. I got to fire up the laser and pull some lines back to measure that. Probably drop some lines with the old plumb bob to make sure I'm tracking. Okay, so here we are. That's the mounts that are going to hold my ladder bar, and that's going to actually get welded in. I'll have it welded up through here all the way around, and then that joint will get welded out, and then this joint will get welded out. This oversized sleeve right here is cut at the same at the same angle as this rail is setting. It'll give a nice clean look when it's all done. It'll look like it was supposed to be there. Both sides are pretty much the same. I've got my connectors for my ladder bar they're whittled down to where they need to be. And they do fit. I've got to move some stuff around, but anyway, all that's got to get jigged up, and I got to measure, make sure my spacing is right with my center line and everything. That's like one of the most time-consuming aspects of this is keeping yourself on your lines and level at the same time, and got to be making sure that your chassis is level too during that process. And normally whenever I'm doing work in a particular area, I'll have a couple of levels set up, and I'll keep my eye on it, during the process and whatnot. There should be one across here right now, but I've pulled it out probably to make room for some other stuff. So I probably need to just check it when I go and do my around the world cross check on this before I tack it. I will certainly have levels everywhere they can be. So yeah, let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and break this down, get this out of the way. Then I probably, off camera, I need to clean this joint up a little bit. Let me get right back to you. Just want to see what it looks like with it being out. Here's the flange, and then this sleeve, and everything just goes up to the side and finishes it off real nice. But yeah, that's what she looks like. Okay, this is what we got. I'm going to tack in this bad boy because I have measured as much as I can muster. Yeah, where am I going to stand? Ready to lock it down. I am in alignment with my front axle. This is parallel to that. My rear end's parallel. Everything is parallel. Everything's set up on center line. Should be good to go. I'm level in relation to the top of the frame. So we're going to lay a couple of beads down and hold it and hope for the best. Okay, well, I think that is about as far as I'm going to be able to take my project for this holiday season. I got to go back to work tomorrow. Bummer. But I was able to get my ladder bar cross member tacked in. Everything is plumbed out and leveled out and parallel and perpendicular and all those good things. I even got to move to the back now, and I've got a mock coil over here that I built up on the specifications passed to me by Pete and Jake's. So this is a mock-up of the coilover that's sized for 33-34, and it's got a like an ideal ride height compression of 12 inches center to center on your bolts. So what I did was built up basically just scrap metal, a mock whatever spacer coilover thingy to basically set my car up at that intended ride height here in the back. Right now I've got it on jacks. I don't have my coilover cross member secured because I need to check. I've got that set at 20 degrees. I think that was the optimum that I was going for anyway, and that was recommended. But I got to check on that. So I haven't marked my I'm going to weld in a bung. This is heavy wall, 1/4 inch heavy wall tubing right there. That's going to get drilled. It's going to have a bung welded into it to hold on to the bolt. It'll be threaded, and yeah, so that cross member is not nailed in place yet. It's not tacked in place yet either. It's just sitting there, but should be a quick wrap up as far as getting my coilovers in place. And I think I've got the right size standoff. Right now I think I've got like a 1.5, 2 inch maybe standoff there at the bottom. I gotta check on that. My diff here is set up at 2 degrees, tilting up. That's what I went with there. My the saddle caused me a little bit of consternation trying to figure out where I'm going to set it. Talked about it before in the video, but this is kind of a shallower saddle. You can get a much deeper one like through Pete and Jake's and probably others. If you get a deeper one, it'll enable you to mount it up. Your mount point will be higher in the rails. That may do something for you. I don't know. This wasn't an option for me. I was kind of stuck with this one right here. I went ahead and used it. The top part of this surface right here is a 1/2 inch below the bottom of the frame. So as a reference, that's where I'm at currently, and hopefully I'm going to be moving on to setting the motor and transmission, and this will be exactly what I need, or at least extremely close to where I don't need to change anything. I could cut these tacks and I could move things around, but I really hope that I don't have to. There's not so much the work, but all the measurements that goes on to get yourself to like right here. Man, there is a lot of cross-check involved, and that's painful. But yeah, so finish. Not quite a roller yet because I don't have that locked down in the back, but that will be pretty soon. So standing back, taking a look at it here, I'd set a goal for myself to have a roller by the end of the holiday time off that we get, and I almost made it. I'm going to call it. I'm going to say I'm close enough to calling it a roller. But moving forward, we're going to be getting into the motor and transmission placement, mounts, that sort of thing. And I've got to go ahead and get my third member installed in there, and we can truly see if that whole saddle is going to work out elevation wise for me as far as passing that through there. Yeah, that's about it. So a lot of lessons learned on this part. A lot of lessons learned. Anyway, here we are in the new year, 2026. Thank you guys for watching. Happy New Year. And get out in the shop and make something happen.